I've been here about 3.5 years or so in this role, and we had to go through quite an extensive rebuilding on the IT back end, and I won't get into that because it's a long, sort of boring story. But the company's been around for, gosh, 26 years now, 26 years plus, and was owned by the Monahan family all that time. And they grew it up to 7 locations, the most recent being in White Rock, BC. And the originals were Kelowna and then, of course, Vernon, and spread out from there. And it's done very well. We sort of always look at ourselves as being more than just a retail, grocery retail. We're more of like an in-store experience, that bricks and mortar experience that people like to come in and spend time learning about our products and learning about healthier lifestyles and so forth. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart, differentiates us. However, about a year ago or so, about 13 months ago, the company was sold to the Pattison Group. And we now are formally report under the Bilo Foods division of the Pattison Group. So we're kind of we now have sort of sister brands, if you will, like Choices Markets, Nesters, Bilo themselves, of course, and Meinhardt Fine Foods in Vancouver. And to be honest, we kind of ended up dragging our heels a bit on this project. The scope of it was to replace all the different phone systems. Most of them were older and falling apart at the different store locations, and put us onto one sort of unified voice over IP platform. So it started a while ago, and just logistically it was challenging. We had some staff turnover, and it's always a difficult project to kind of get going during store hours. They're just so dependent on the phone as well as, of course, on their computer systems. But it started when I started here. I did a big inventory of our current state, and the phone systems were definitely one of the more important that were kind of on their last legs. Some of the stores had old legacy digital NEC systems or what have you. And I just thought it'd be easier if we can essentially manage these things and create some consistency across the locations, and just have a single platform to support, and one that brings a lot more flexibility as well. We looked at different sort of, I don't know if you call them hosted PBX solutions or managed PBX solutions. We looked at some. A big one would be TELUS, of course, but I didn't feel it was right for us to sort of engage with a huge company like that. And I was just worried, based on past experience, about not necessarily having that kind of personalized service or single point of contact. When iTel looked like a solid company to work with, they've got a lot of good reviews, and they deal not just with hosted PBX, but of course other outsourced network systems and internet access. So I felt comfortable working with them. Yeah, we worked, when we first signed the contract or reviewing the proposed contract with iTel, we looked at sizing sort of primarily in terms of, we knew that this was going to be a shared solution across the locations, including our head office. So we had to sort of understand the mechanics of this, or the architecture of this, and make sure that it would scale once we added all the locations, the number of handsets and an estimate of the number of calls, concurrent calls. So we went off previous phone bills from the different phone providers, and it was a mixed bag. We had Bell, we had TELUS, we had Shaw providers all over the place. So it was it was a bit challenging to sort of collect all that. But we also settled on the GrandStream handsets, and we sort of tested a couple of different brands and settled on GrandStream. So I felt that it was fairly collaborative between iTel and my team in terms of just narrowing it down, the hardware and the scope. In terms of deployment, we mostly did it ourselves, which kind of maybe led to some of the delays in getting it done. We're a small team, so we would purchase the hardware, they would ship them here, and we would just kind of work with one of the stores and say, today we're cutting over your store, doing the training, that kind of thing. So it's fairly intensive on the day of and a couple of days following, but once people get used to it, it's just like any other change management. I think, initially for staff, it's made a big difference. Like I mentioned earlier about consistency across the locations. So, the COVID outbreak is a good example where we wanted to quickly be able to pivot and for example, broadcast in-store messages at regular intervals, pre-recorded messages, just warning customers about social distancing and that kind of thing. And we were able to do that very quickly and seamlessly with this new system. We had someone at our head office record the messages. We can upload them to iTel's hosted PBX, and we can schedule them in per location, and it's done. It's very, very straightforward. In terms of customers, it gives us some more flexibility. Like we can sort of purchase cordless phones from iTel for our vitamin counters and stuff that need to be mobile within the store. And it just makes it, just provides a better customer service experience where they're able to respond more quickly and be involved in different areas of the store and not have to necessarily hover by a hardwired phone. So overall, it's just that flexibility that we really enjoy with the system.